Hello everyone, especially Angular enthusiasts. Today I'm recording this video to talk about Angular reactivity system. In today's agenda we have how reactivity works before in Angular with Zone.js, Angular team's vision in the next 10 years, a small overview about Angular signals, and a complete writing app example with signals. So let's get started. Before we start, let's introduce reactivity. According to Angular team, reactivity is a declarative way to express the propagation of a change. So let's take an example of Google Sheets. Suppose that we have a sheet to calculate the acceptance rate in university, which depends on the number of both applicants and accepted students. So that's reactivity, meaning when we change an input, we need to recalculate and show the new result. In Angular context, reactivity enables the framework to understand change propagation through dependency tracking. Angular creates a node graph with values and states of your application. When a node dependency changes a value, Angular must detect that change and re-render this part of our application. Change detection is the process of detecting if any change occurred in our application. And for this process, Angular uses Zone.js library. This library will patch our browser API to add change detection code at startup of our application. Then, if there is a change, the re-render process will be invoked. The library is responsible for patching a lot of other APIs, such as all browser events, click, mouse over key app, timers, and Ajax HTTP requests. In Angular, there is two change detection strategies, default and on-push. Let's start by default strategy. During each change detection cycle, Angular will check changes in all application components. And if there is a change detected, Angular will re-render our part of our page. It's not the most performant option, especially in complex and large applications. The second option is on-push. It's a little bit optimized. So the check for on-push components is done especially when, first of all, input reference has been changed comparing by 3 equal operator. The event is triggered by the component or one of its children's, by outputs or host listeners. The async pipe gets a new value from the observable. And finally, change detection is triggered manually using change detection reference. Both strategies have performance issues. That's why Angular team announced a new project to redesign their reactivity system and pass to zoneless. So according to angular.dev website, a signal is a wrapper around a value that notifies interested consumer when that value has changed. Signals can contain any value from primitives to complex data structures. Signals are introduced in Angular 16 as developer preview and became stable since Angular 17.2 release. The specificity of a signal is that it will help Angular detect change when value has changed. Then re-render a small piece of UI without doing the check detection process and especially without Zone.js. That change will enhance Angular app's performance. In addition to that, our code will be more simple and more readable. Angular introduced 3 types of signals. First, writable signals. Signals that you can update either using set or update methods. Let's try an example. We have defined a new signal, a new number signal, which is user writing. It will be by default 0. And then we will try to set a value in this signal, 5 stars for example, and then we will execute the writing update method. And in this method will accept an arrow function in the parameter the current value, and we will decrease the current value by 2. So when we do console.log the current rating, we will get 3. The second type is computed signals. we will use this type when our signal depending on another signals. So that's why Angular introduced this type. For example, let's try to do an example with signals. The example showed in the slide. We have defined, first of all, a signal, a string signal, which is the rating type. It will contain two values, either stars or thumbs. And we have two computed signals to compute the empty image icon or the filled image icon. And this computed will depend on the rating type, which can be stars or thumbs. And when the rating type is stars, we will return star empty.png or star filled.png, depending on empty or filled. And the same for the thumbs. The third type is effects. The effect is a process triggered when there is a change in one or more signal in our application. For example, we have defined user rating, which is a number signal, by default 0. And then we will set .5, the 5 value. And then we will define the effect to capture our changes, and we will do just console log and the value of our signal. And then we will try to update. When we will update, we will get the value, you will get user rating has changed to 3, for example. Now, let's start a small demo in which we will create a small rating application using signals. In this application, the user can choose the type of rating, either stars or thumbs icons, and then he will choose his rating with the icons or using the arrows plus and minus to increase and decrease his rating. As a demo, I've initialized an Angular 18 project, and in this project I did all HTML and CSS stuff to concentrate in our signals. To start, I've just declared here a static number, which is 3, which is the user rating value. And now, first of all, we will create a signal to store the user selected rating. So to do that, we will try to declare a new, to define or declare a new signal, which called user rating. And user rating is a signal which will contain a number data, and by default I will, for example, choose 4 stars. The user will select by default 4 stars. And now in our application we have just 3 stars selected because we make a static number here which is 3. And now when we want to reflect the signal value to our UI, we have just to use our signal. So to use the value of our signal, we have just to call our getter. And now the application has changed to show 4 active stars as a user rating. Now the second step is we will try to create a click event in our image, and in this event we will try to select, to apply the value and the index of this image to the selected user rating. So the user can select and choose his rating with the icons. So to do that, we will try to implement a click event, and in this click event we will implement a new method which called choose rating. And in this method we will pass our index of the table of our icons. So when we do that, we will try to implement our method. Our method will accept the index, which is a number, and it will return void. It will just do some process, and inside this method we will just try to update our signal. So to update our signal we have either the set or update method. We have two methods, and for me I will just use set, and I will add index.1 because the index will start from 0. And that's it. Now if we want to do our demo, we remark that when we click on this index is 1, and we will make the signal, we will change the value of our signal to be the index plus 1 because the index will start by 0. Now we will try to update the same signal, which is the user rating, and we will try to apply the actions for the two rows, a row up and a row left and a row right methods. So to do that, we will try to create two methods, and in the click we will increase, no, the left is decrease, or rating, rate down, and we will define here rate up, and we will try to define these methods. And now we can declare using the helper of Visual Code. We will declare both methods, and now the declaration will just contain a new exception that the method is not implemented. So now with the rate up we will just try to use the update method, and in this update method it will accept an arrow function, contain a value, and we will do, for rating up we will do +1, and for the rating down we will use the same method, but we will use the decrease operator. And now when we do plus it will increase, and when we do minus it will decrease our rating. So we can enhance this method because when we do just +1 we can get a user rating which is 100 when we click 100 times in our row, right? So the idea is that the user rating, it has to be between 1 and 5. So to do that, the increase method, we will just try to test if the increase equal, we have arrived already to 5, it will be 5, it will not be above 5, and same for the decrease. When we reached the 1, it will be always 1, and it will never be a negative or a 0 number, because we don't have a rating 0, we have 1 to 5. So to do that, when we do a demo, even when I click more about this icon, when I decrease it will decrease, and the same for the decrease bottom. When I decrease it will be the minimum 1, and we can even do the minimum 0, and when I increase, the logic is good. Now we will try to do the logic for the selected type, either stars or thumbs. And to do that, we need to create a new signal which will contain the type, the selected type. And to do that, we will use user, for example, rating type signal, which we can use number or enumeration, but in my case I will use number. And I have two numbers, 0 or 1. 0 meaning it's stars, and 1 meaning it's thumbs, for example. We will do some, and by default I will select stars. So to apply this in our interface, we will do checked, and this icon will be checked when our rating type is equal 0, and the thumbs is checked when when our rating type is 1. And by default I defined it to be 0, for example. When I change 1, our thumbs check radio will be selected, and here's the thumbs is selected because I make our signal, I initialized our signal with the value 1, and when I roll back it to 0, in our interface we have stars, which is checked by default. Now I will introduce computed signals. Computed signals, we will use it to change our icons. Our icons, it will be computed depending on the selected type. So our signal is depending on other signals, and that's why we use it computed. So to do that, we have, for example, empty icon, which is a computed signal, and it will accept an arrow function, and in this arrow function we will do our logic. Then we will return the icon depending on the rating type. So in this signal we will check the rating type value, and if the rating type value is 0, meaning stars, and in this example we will just use, here in public we have all our icons, and when the rating type is 0, meaning that stars, and now I will return just star empty dot png, else it's thumbs, so I will return thumb empty dot png, and I will do the same for the field which is computed, and here I will just change the icon name. The same, if the rating is equal to 0, we have stars field, and else thumbs field. And now we will just adapt here if the index, so we will use the empty icon, and here we will use the field icon. And now we will try to check there is an error. We will check why we are getting this error. So the empty icon and the filled icon, rating type is 0 by default. Problem is we didn't do our change event. So by default is declared 0, and there is no change event to change the value 0 and 1 according to our selected radio. So to do that, we have to do change method, change event, and here set rating, or we can just do this dot rating type dot set, and we can set the 0, which is not clean. We can use another method to set the rating type, but we can also do that. And now when I select thumbs, it will change the value, and our computed signal, which is the empty and the filled icons, which is computed depending on the rating type, and that's why when we click the type, it will change automatically in our view. And finally, now we will try to do a small example with effects. So here I've implemented our constructor, and I've imported effect from Angular core, and I've added just a small logs here, user rating. I will just log also rating type has changed to rating type, and here I will, for example, when there is a change in either our user rating signal or our rating type signal, there is a log, and this event is captured by our effect. So in the effect, we can capture changes and do other processings if we want. After this small demo, we have arrived at the end of this episode. You will find the presentation and GitHub repository in the video description. Also, you will find a link for my Medium article for more details about signals. If you have any question, please leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.